and welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and then just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror. Yeah? And we are going to finish off this little universe, the Night of the Living Dead universe, with the, I guess, the latest. I don't know. Let me know if there's another one. But this is Day of the Dead Bloodline. Yes, I did. I bought the Blu-ray. I like it alright. It's got a hell of a lot of issues, but if I bought the 85 one with all of its issues, I'm going to buy this one too because I fucking love this universe. So this is Day of the Dead Bloodline. And it was released in 2017. And it was directed by, Hèctor Hernández Vicens. I know I got the first two right. It was written by Mark Tonderai, Lars, Jacobson, and of course Romero. It stars Sophie Skelton, Johnathon Schaech. Sheesh, man. Is your last name really Sheesh? Schaeech. Isn't that Sheesh? Schaech, Johnathon Schaech, and Jeff Gum. Jeff Gum. That reminds me of Jamie Gum. Jamie Gum. Wasn't Jamie Gum? That's the guy from Silence of the Lambs, right? Or that's where he got his stuff sent to. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So, this was released, like I said, in 2017. This is another re-imaging of the original storyline. There is a great deal, of course, that has changed. In this one, there is no Bud in this one. Instead, there's Max. Yet, they have a Miguel in this one. See what I mean? In 2008, in Need to Feed, they had a Bud, but no Miguel. But in Bloodline, they have a Miguel, but no Bud, and no Rhodes, because Miguel is Rhodes in Day of the Dead. I mean, in Bloodline. Well, yeah, Day of the Dead, Bloodline. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying. I really don't view either one of these as remakes, but it does have the same basic story. So we see a bunch of news reports on this outbreak, of course, and we are introduced to Zoe being chased down the street by a bunch of Zeds everywhere. And these are, it's weird, like 85, they were the slow, creepier zombies. Yeah, they were the slow creeper zombies. Oh no, they're just as fast. And I started to say they're kind of like the middle, but I don't know. They're pretty damn fast in this one too. Yeah. So scratch that. I was going to say 85 was slow creeper. 2000 Need to Feed. Need to Feed was like super fast 28 days later, and Bloodline is like in between. But no, I think they're pretty fast in this one too. So we'll just leave it at that. So we then flash back to 4 hours earlier, where they're at, she is a researcher at a medical center. She's a student. She is, this Zoe character. She is at an autopsy where they're autopsying this body, and she's answering questions with the class, and they're going to an after party. Imagine an autopsy after party. I'm not really going to feel like going to a party after autopsying a body. But then again, I guess those people are weird that way. So she's going to this after party with the rest of the people, and going to hook up there after she does some research. She does go to the party where there's this creepy guy named Max. He's really, really creepy. And he comes in for his weekly blood draw because he's got like this really unusual blood chemistry. So he comes in and he does his usual flirtations with her, makes her very uncomfortable, and then he reveals that he has her name etched into his arm in cursive at that, Zoe, and looked like he did it himself with a knife or something. It's pretty fucked up. And she goes on to this party. They have the party. Everything seems to be going fine. They're keeping the beer down in the morgue. So she goes down into the morgue to get one of the flasks. Is that what they're called? You know, the big silver thing that the beer is in, like at a beer party. Big metal thing. I've seen YouTube videos where people try to pop them and they get shot in the face with, you know, it's one of them. So she goes down to get one of them. A guy scares her, one of her classmates. He takes his keg and goes, and then she gets one, and then that fucking Max appears, right? And attacks her and tries to essay her, assault her. And he gets going too, but then that exact dead body that they were autopsying earlier, it like gets up and it's not happy. And it bites half his face off, and, you know, it bites him, and pandemonium from there. So, you know, after that pandemonium, she manages to get away after you see all of this bloodshed and stuff. And I've heard people like make fun of the blood spurts. You know, it's almost like a balloon pops with blood. And it's like, yeah, that, you know, that is kind of funny. And it happens mostly at the beginning of the movie. It kind of makes you go, what is that? Why is that? But it does kind of end after that. It's only like the first 15 minutes where that kind of stupid, that, because I think it's kind of stupid too. And that effect, the blood burst. It's like people's heads and necks aren't balloons, you know what I'm saying? Blood doesn't like burp like that, blow up like that, spurt like that. Now it can if you're like hacking somebody with an axe. You've got like sling and stuff like that. But, well, you see what I'm saying. It just looks like they popped a balloon blood. So, but that stops after like 15 minutes. So she does manage to get away. And boom, we're then 5 years later. And we're, of course, at this bunker. She managed to get to a rescue bunker. And so she's there with the, you know, she's researching at this. It's kind of half military, half rescue. Of course, it's just like 85, right? It's half military, half civilian, survivors, and then you have the military side helping the researchers try to figure out. Now, the leader, the commander of this place is not Commander Rhodes, it's Commander Miguel. So, and Miguel has a brother named Baca, and Baca is Zoe's boyfriend. So, we get that little triangle set up. So, you know, they're doing all of that, trying to figure out, and she is a really good researcher, and she's like, you know, what was her name in the 85? Sally or Anna, whatever her name is. But she's her character, and she really is good. She really is trying to, you know, figure out a cure. A little girl gets sick, Lily. She gets sick, and it turns out she's got bacterial pneumonia. Now, so here, this closed-in community, you have the Zeds outside the perimeter, but now you have this little girl with a highly contagious disease. So they could be like all killed by a different virus if they don't do something about it. So she convinces Miguel to let her and Baca and a squad go back to that medical center that she used to be at, to raid the pharmacy to get the proper antibiotics and vaccines and vaccines for the kids, and the antibiotics, because we can't allow bacterial pneumonia to spread through this facility or we'll all be dead. So they go do that. Really cool scenes in that. And I'll be damned, since you went back to that same place, you know who's there, right? It's Max. And so he's stalking her. He realizes it's her. And one of the guys, Frank, he gets killed, eaten pretty bad. The rest of them do manage to get away. What they don't know, and neither do we until they get back to the camp, is that fucking Max, he is like pulling some Keanu Reeves shit or something, because he's up under one of the trucks holding on to the stuff. So he's been under that truck the whole time. So he comes right on into the facility without them knowing it. So now this fucker's on the loose. And he is like, I guess this movie's version of Bud. Because he is turned, but like both of the buds in the other two movies, he's not quite like the regular zombies. He's more intelligent, more docile, more able. Well, this guy's certainly not docile, but he is more able to, he's like Big Daddy in Land of the Dead. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. So he snuck in here, and he is like stalking her through the ventilation system. He's picking off people one by one here and there when he has to, when they get in his way. And of course you have all of this interpersonal stuff going on between Baca and Miguel and her, just like in the 85 version. Interestingly, there was none of that in the Need to Feed, but in this one they do return to a bunch of interpersonal stuff going on. So it doesn't take long before he actually reveals himself to Zoe, and they have a face-off. And she's like, what the fuck? How did you, what? And they do capture him. That's why he's this version of Bud, because he's captured, he's chained up. She needs his blood to try to research, to see if they can find a vaccine, because they're not even trying to find a cure. I mean, once it's done, it's done. You know what I'm saying? But if you can get a vaccine that will stop you before you turn, like just after you're bitten or something, that's what they're going for in this movie. So his blood is very, very unique. Like I said, that was what was making him come in and offer blood for research. Like that go and get blood for donuts and $10 that people do when they need money. Well, that's what he had been doing. And they had discovered he had this really weird blood chemistry. So she starts using him, and he is vicious. Unlike the other two buds, and I saw some guy complaining about this in a reviewer, and I just wanted to laugh at him, because he was just like, I can't believe it, I mean, at least the other two buds were cute and docile and kind of cool. But this guy's just a screaming, bloody, murderous, demonic monster. And I'm like, oh gosh, really? In a zombie movie? How dare they? What the fuck do you people want? It's like, how dare they have a vicious, demonic, mean zombie? It's like sometimes reading the damn reviews is more fun than watching the movie itself. Or at least sometimes it's more confusing. So, yeah, he hated this movie because Bud was mean. My wife told me, he said, he's like, my wife and I were in Walmart. I don't know why I'm going down. This is just funny. My wife was down. You go to International Movie Database and look at the reviews, you will find this guy. He's like, my wife and I was in Walmart, and I was like, ooh, a zombie movie. I'm going to get it. And she's like, no, I don't think you should. I think you should, watch it. So I watched it on Netflix, and I was just so mad because Max, he was so, he's supposed to be Bud in this movie, and he was a meanie. He was mean. He was just vicious and evil and a monster. And I'm like, but I think that's a good thing. People are so fucked up. But yes, he hates this movie because Bud was mean. Or the version of Bud in this movie was mean. And I'm like, okay. And there's a reason why I don't really give a shit what people think about movies. And I'll watch it for myself. There you go. Right there. So, and it is true though. This dude is vicious. I mean, this guy, this is not, there's nothing nice or likable about this version of Bud. He is gross and monstrous and vicious, and he is after Zoe. He's like a stalker, you know what I mean? Just happens to be a monster. But I actually liked that. I mean, I liked the silly, cute, broke my heart Bud and Need to Feed. But I think it's pretty cool that they changed it up and made this like a a serious threat. This bud is like vicious, and there ain't nothing playful about this one at all. Nothing domesticated about this one either. But so anyway, she continues to work on crap. Now, he is smart though, and he did manage to attack one of the people, and he got a key. So right as she discovers the secret, and that is that his actual blood does have a component in it that neutralizes this particular virus, but you have to be injected with it before you completely turn. So they got their answer, but he gets loose. He attacks. Carnage like you would not believe. Really good carnage as well. And, because remember, I don't prejudge these movies, and I'm not watching the movie comparing it to anything or making judgments on it based on other films. It's a movie unto itself. So I'm like highly enjoying the carnage that went on after he got loose. They do manage to, and Baca gets bit. Miguel gets ripped to shreds like Rhodes did in the 85 and in the 2008. Which I was actually very pleased about that, because I couldn't stand that motherfucker. I couldn't stand him in 85 either. There was no Miguel character in Need to Feed. So yeah. But I was very happy when Miguel got eaten in this movie. So, yes, there is like carnage galore, but Baca gets bit. Lily gets loose. Because like I said, he was so vile. He like kidnapped Lily and was like, either Zoe was going to be his, or, he was going to kill the little girl. She managed to get away. Zoe chased after her. He goes after them. She ends up cutting his head off. So she won the fight, the big boss fight. So she won the big boss fight, and she goes back in, and Baca is, like this, and he's about to do it, but she talks him out of it, going, I know the secret. I've got it. Just please give me a chance. I know what to do now. I've got the answer. I can stop this before it happens to you. And she does. She heals Baca, and you get this end narration about we succeeded and things look brighter, and maybe the human race has a chance now. And then it goes off. And you're left to go, okay, well, what do I think about this? This thing. All right, first of all, I'm not a huge fanboy of this movie like I am Need to Feed. If you take those three, Need to Feed is my favorite. I'm sorry. I have no issues with Need to Feed. If you ask me to tell you what's wrong with Need to Feed, I have nothing to give you. But if you ask me about 85 and Bloodline, I've got issues. Now, interestingly enough, the issues I have with 85 are completely different, except for one, than the issues I have with Bloodline. Bloodline has some shitty acting, but it's sporadic and it's character based. Now, what I mean by that is like the whole cast is not. The whole cast is mostly good, but there are a couple of people in major roles. Let me tell you, I hope you never see this, because that would embarrass me. Not really, because I'm just telling the truth, but dude playing Miguel, that you might as well be married to the guy who played Miguel in the first one, because like the horrible acting of the guy who played Miguel in 85 and the guy who plays Miguel in this movie is the exact same. They are terrible acting. Terrible. I mean, every time Miguel was on the screen, I just wanted to go, dude, man, you could not even act in porno. You know what I mean? Well, I've seen better. And so, yeah, there's some sporadically bad actors in this movie. But the majority, because it's like this, it's called a scale, okay? Bad acting, good acting, good acting, bad acting, good acting, good acting, bad, good. You see what I mean? It's like a scale. And at the end of the film, with all of the characters, and you have to judge it at the end, there was only a couple of people, and that's Zoe and Miguel. Zoe had there were scenes, especially at the beginning. Maybe she just learned as she went along. Maybe she was taking acting classes in between filming scenes, because weirdly enough, Zoe was one of the girl who was playing Zoe. I guess that's Sophie Skelton, maybe. I guess, I don't know. Sorry if it's not, but chick was bad. Look, girl, you were totally bad. In the first 15 minutes of the movie, this girl was acting. I mean, it was terrible. However, unlike Miguel, about 20-30 minutes into the movie, though, like, all her bad acting went away, and she was just like, she was nailing her scenes, nailing her emotions, nailing her lines. And so I'd never really seen that in a movie. Usually if a bad actor is a bad actor, it stays a bad actor because you're just a bad actor. But weirdly enough, the girl who plays Zoe, it's like her acting like improved as the movie went along. I don't know what was taking place behind the scenes. Maybe the producers were getting the rushes and were like coming to her and going, "Sweetie, do we need to start this movie over, or are you going to be able to buck up a little bit?" I don't know what was happening, but somehow or another, her acting improved as the movie went along. Miguel, you're just a lost cause, baby. I don't know if you've been in anything else. I ain't even going to bother to look, but that was terrible. So, just like in 85, there is horrible, horrible acting, and, sporadically in 85 and sporadically in Bloodline, there's some really distracting bad acting. Now, was there any other? My other problem with Bloodline is that balloon splatter effect was really stupid. It looked really dumb, I'm telling you. Thankfully, that too finished. I swear, now that I'm thinking about it, sitting right here giving my judgment, I think that somebody came in about 15-20 minutes into this movie's filming. Like 15 to 20 minutes of this movie had been filmed, and somebody like came in and was like, "This isn't going to work. Either we're going to change some things, or we're just going to scrap this shit." Because it's like the first 20 minutes of this movie is a lot different than the rest of the movie. And it really does look like somebody, editor, director, writer, no, who would have that? Hèctor, maybe? The director? Hèctor? Did you come in and give them a, bust your ass talk? I don't know what happened, but, the first 20 minutes of this movie is, got a lot more issues than the last hour and 10 minutes. And, except for Miguel. So, the gore was great. The makeup was great. So, we're talking about that balance scale. I gave this movie a 6.9 out of 10. Because there were times when I was fucking glued to the screen. They were nailing, when certain actors were involved in scenes, it was really good acting. The story was decent. Max mesmerized me a lot because he was just he grossed me out. He was really scary. He's a scary. Bud didn't scare me. Bud made me laugh and made me think that 1985 was one of a really bad movie. And horrible makeup effects. But Max really caused me anxiety. He was a really nasty zombie. And I think that's good. I liked that. I found that enjoyable. So I was very entertained at points in this movie. And the points where I was distracted by something bad acting. Oh yeah, I know what it was. Somebody, I don't know if it was done on purpose or nothing, or something, but, and I know you've seen it in movies before. Do you know, like when somebody gets shot, or somebody throws water or something, and or spits or something, and it actually gets on the lens of the camera? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? That happened way too often in this movie, like, a zombie attack or something, and then you would see it like get on the lens, and then instantly it would be cleared because they cut the scene and they wiped off the lens, and I'm like, isn't that somebody's job? Or are you too close to the action? Do you not know how you're not supposed to? Hey, we're going to have a bloodbath. Might want to guard the camera. So I did notice that it distracted me enough times to distract me, and I was like, why do y'all keep getting blood drops on the lens? Unless you did it on purpose. If you did it on purpose, if you didn't do it on purpose, your camera people needed to be fired. If you were doing it on purpose, it's not really cool. That was not cool. It looked bad. So I don't know whether you did it on purpose and it failed, and it was a fail, or whether you didn't do it purpose and you just had some shitty cameraman. I don't know. Is it the cameraman's fault if he's told not to get, if he's too close? I don't know. I'm not a director or a stage organizer. I don't know how these things work. Somebody can tell me in the comments if you want to know. Whose fault would that be if blood drops kept getting on the lens? Is that the cameraman's fault? The set director? The stuntman? Whose fault is that? Obviously they didn't have the money to refilm the scene. It's like, why do you keep getting blood on the fucking lens, man? Anyway, let's just leave it alone. So, yeah, this movie had some issues. But in the end, the issues were a little bit lower than the enjoyment level that I had. It's a fun little popcorn movie. It's got some shit in it. But then so does 85 to me. Both of these are at the bottom of the list. I'm sorry. Can't help you. It is what it is. It's my fucking list. And even though the issues aside from the bad acting, or the sporadic bad acting by certain actors, in both of those movies, the other issues that I had were completely different. I love the makeup in this movie. I love the Zeds in this movie. I love the gore. I love the kills. It really is nauseating. Some of it is really gory, but the gore looks good. 85, terrible special effects. Makeup was horrible. And eating, what I say, ketchup covered bratwurst sausages, whereas in this, the guts really looked like guts in Bloodline. Whereas in that one, it just looked like sausage links somebody stole out the Winn-Dixie and poured ketchup on. It was just horrible. So, not a huge fanboy of Bloodline, but it is alright. 6.9 out of 10. It was, I enjoyed watching it, and I will watch it again. I have no problem watching it again. Just like I have no problem watching with Dead 85. I like watching it. I've watched it 10 times since I've gotten it. Maybe a year ago. 2 years ago. So I don't have any problem with these movies. I don't hate any of these movies. I love all of these movies. And yeah, so there you go. 6.9, Day of the Dead Bloodline. Different re-imaging. I think there's some really good acting, and I think this is worth having. I really like having this universe, and I don't have, it's got a lot of issues. It's one of the two movies with the most issues to me. In this little 8-pack. I don't include the original because I don't have it, and I can't really judge it because I only saw it a couple times when I was a teenager. I can barely remember anything about it, so I don't feel justified in including it in the ranking or anything because I don't have it. I have no intention of getting it unless somebody wants to send it to me. But so anyway, I will be back with the ranking of these movies. It'll be a just short video to rank them. I could do it in this one, but I don't want to bore you. So I'll just do it on its own, maybe. And yeah, we'll be right back with the Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead ranking and talk about that. And yeah, that was Day of the Dead Bloodline. I do not hate this movie. It has a lot of problems. I don't hate it any more than I hate Day of the Dead 85. They just both have serious issues with me that distract me a little bit. But I still enjoy both of them, even though there's some little stuff that distracts me in both of these. None of the others have that, but these two do. So I'll see you in the ranking. Love you, miss you, bye-bye. Always remember, never forget, you are a very special person. Even if you think I'm a lowbrow. Bye-bye.